Is this good?
That's good.
Ha ha ha.
Welcome to Best of the Midwest, the horror movie cast with Justin Riley, my cousin. Greg, is that you?
Yeah.
Is that you, Greg?
I'm coming to find you.
Oh my gosh, it's not Greg, it's a violent murder. Sarah, what's wrong with you? You don't look like you're doing too well. Oh no, that's not Sarah. She's possessed by a demon monster.
Oh no, Sarah!
I don't think this is a song. I can't.
Huh?
I can't just like mute the song.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, no, I can't. Okay.
Oh, take her easy there, Pilgrim.
Boy, I got vision and the rest of the world wears bifocals.
Well, son, since you haven't learned to respect your elders, it's time you learn to respect your betters.
It is, I think, going to be a very harsh and unpleasant kind of business. And will, I think, require an extremely harsh and unpleasant kind of man to see to it.
I'm your huckleberry.
Horror movie cast.
All right.
So Justin and I have been watching horror movies and looking at them, looking into them and stuff.
We covered the whole gambit.
Well,
Last, like, 5.
it's hard to. There's so many subgenres of the horror movie.
I wrote down.
I was thinking of them.
I tried to write down like all the genres that could pop into my head. You want to hear my list?
Yeah, go.
Got creature feature, which
Okay.
are one of my favorites. We got found footage, which I also like found favorites and or found footage. And funny thing with those is they swish they combine with any other of them. Then we got slasher, and then serial killer next to that because they're pretty similar.
That's like okay.
They could be like, but I don't know.
Oh, I know what you
Slasher-
mean. Like, do you mean like serial killer, like based on true story
Yeah.
docs or whatever?
So
or like,
slashers like Friday the 13th, Halloween,
right.
stuff like that.
Like, but it's like, okay, yeah.
Then serial killers like Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted
Are those
Bundy.
scary though? Those aren't like.
Oh,
really
they can be. There are some.
like eerie, spooky.
Yeah. There's a John Wayne Gacy movie I know that's like, it's a horror movie. Then I got ghosts. Then I got demons. Then I got monsters. Because
That's a creature feature.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think
what,
there's
like-
some delineation between the two. Then aliens, spooky towns.
But like what? But like alien, like monsters. Like what do you mean?
Like if I were
Like a monster movie
Yeah,
is
I
like
guess it
that's
would
like a
just be
creature
the
feature.
same as a
If
creature
it's like the
feature.
swamp thing is like a creature feature kind
I
of
don't
thing, but it's
know.
also a monster.
I feel like there's a difference in some. Like Frankenstein monster. That's not a creature feature.
like a vampire
A vampire would be probably a
movie.
monster. And then I got spooky towns, which is I like that
Spooky
idea.
town ones?
Then haunted houses.
Okay.
Do you?
I have like some of the like I guess like the gore ones, like the gore, the torture ones.
Yeah, I don't like those.
I don't like them either. I was thinking of that, but you kind of covered them. Yeah,
I don't think that's a definitive
I was thinking
list.
more kind of like, well, I guess like I was thinking like there are like the psychological one, like there's like the jump scare, like not so much like you have like, the genre one, and then there's like the jump scare ones. So like
Which-
going like a little bit like outside of like
I think
the
that's
creature feature.
yeah, that's the easiest
Well,
scare
yeah,
to
way-
get.
yeah.
You know?
Well, I'm taking like types of scary movies.
I
in
know,
that
I hear you.
sense.
So like, there's like psychological
Right.
jump
But I
scare.
guess
Then
that's
there's
like
like
a-
just suspenseful horror,
like thrillery kind of ones.
thrillery,
Eerie.
There's
But I
definitely,
guess that's kind of like that's just what covers it.
yeah, it's hard.
I think the like torture one kind of goes like it falls
I
into
don't
that
like
one
the
too. I watched Saw for the first time, and
I
like,
actually like Saw though.
no, it was
Wasn't it
definitely
good?
pretty neat. No, it was neat, but it was like one of those things where it's like it's just like. Oh, your head is gonna explode.
Yeah.
He wants us to saw our foot off.
Oh my gosh.
The spoiler.
I haven't seen it in so long, but I liked Saw 1 and 2, and then I never saw the others, kind of because I'm just like, I don't care about the gore stuff.
But
And
it's funny with like the horror movies. you always see the most sequels out of those because it's always just like based on.
And
like,
they're already rebooting it.
well,
Isn't that crazy?
You're gonna redo it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's like 8 Chucky's, 8 Elm Streets,
There's like
8
10 Jasons, not
Friday,
counting the
like,
reboots.
There's like 8 every horror movie of all time. There's not like 10 Dumb and Dumbers.
No.
There's not, you know.
There's like 4 now, though. Out of all the, like, legacy, like, series of movies, what's your go-to?
I don't
like,
know.
what's one that you
I was
enjoy?
never like one that watched like I've seen all of the Jason movies. I didn't do that.
I've seen most of the Jason movies, and that's the only one of those, like, ilk that I've, like, gone through. And I've never seen any of the Nightmare Before Elm Streets except
I've
for
never
the
seen
reboot. and it was
Nightmare Before
bad.
Elm Streets.
I know they don't appeal to me that much.
I don't know. See, growing up, I just was never into spooky movies.
Yeah.
The ones that got me when I was a tot. Now, my sibling let me watch Chucky when I was a really little kid, and I had nightmares from Chucky until I was like 7 or 8. Like
crazy.
horrifying nightmares.
Those are ones I've never seen either.
And I watched, so like I remember like watching it, and I just was like a little kid. I didn't understand the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh my gosh, like one of my toys could murder me.
I remember when you were little and you talking about Chucky.
Yeah, because I was scared shitless of him all the time. But then I watched it like as an adult. I watched it, I think, this last Halloween. And it was
Oh.
like super cool.
Yeah, I remember
It was
you
a good
talking
movie.
about it.
It was a really good movie, actually. And then they make like 8 more. And the funny thing is like the rest of the movies are not like, they're like more based on like the trope of like the dirty talking
Yeah,
thing.
It's
It's like-
not about the, like, real story of the first one.
the
It's
real
just
story is just like-
people like this stupid doll.
he kills people and he's raunchy.
I've still never seen any of them. I would probably watch it, and then they made a remake of that.
And then it was really dumb and
Yeah,
bad.
I didn't watch that one
Because
either.
it's like it's really funny. I'm gonna ruin it, but it's like has nothing to do with like the old one. The old one was really cool because the guy gets murdered at the beginning and he like puts his soul inside of a Chucky doll.
So, yeah, that's cool.
And it's really neat because he like there's like this whole like spell thing that he does, and he's like, I gotta get to a human body, and he's just like this criminal that knows witchcraft. And they explain it all, and it's like really good. In the new one, it's basically just like an Amazon doll that just like goes wrong.
That's so stupid. I like horror movies from the 80s and 90s are so much more like original, and like you're just like, oh, they threw in like witch doctors and magic and voodoo and stuff, and it's more fun, I don't know, than like, oh, it's an Amazon toy or whatever.
And that's what it was. It's like you have to plug in your good guy Chucky or whatever, Buddy or whatever. Well, see, the doll's name is Buddy.
Yeah.
The guy's name was Chucky. Like that's the thing. But anyway, yeah. And then like all the newer ones where it's like the webcam deaths or whatever, where it's like
Oh, I watched one of those.
messageme.com or
Uh-huh.
something like that.
We watched one that was called Uninvited wasn't that one. I don't remember. But it was all took place over like Skype calls, and then you're just like, this is so lame.
But I guess like so the ones that I guess we've been watching some spooks this week this last week, and I kind of revisited some that I had seen. Like I said, I watched Saw.
Yeah.
And that was like it was good.
I think that's a good place to go.
And it was I'm not like a huge like torture dude, but it was like it was good. It was I feel like it's kind I laughed out loud at some parts. It was kind of
Really?
cheesy. Yeah.
It's crazy because I don't remember.
I think it's just like old and like
Yeah.
outdated a little bit, but it was like
Because
still
it was like, when did it come out? Did you look into it? It was
I
probably
think it's like early
2001 or
2000s.
something, yeah.
But it's the same as like The Ring. It's like The Ring was scary
Ring was
back
good.
then. The Ring was scary back then, and I watched it a few years ago. I was like, ooh, this
No good?
this didn't age well.
Oh, man.
And I think maybe it's just like you watch it when you're younger and you're like, this is terrifying. Or maybe just like movies now like learn from that one, and it's just like movies now are just like that much more terrifying.
Yeah.
Or something, or something
It
like
is
that.
definitely refining what's like scary, but I haven't watched The Ring in so long. Excuse me. But I remember it fondly. And then there's like 2, which I thought was pretty good if I remember correctly, and then there was a third one which I never saw.
I watched the third one for like 2 minutes and I turned it off because they were on. It was the first scene was they're on a plane, and then the ring girl started like somebody in the plane had seen the video.
Oh, and she was coming out of the plane.
She was
screen?
coming out of all the plane screens, like killing everybody. And I was like, "This is bad. I'm not watching this."
Didn't we try to watch the Japanese version of it or something? We
I don't
turned
know.
it on a long time
Did we
ago.
turn on? Was it that or was it The Grudge?
I think it was The Ring, but I'm not sure. See, I would like to watch those originals.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because I bet they're pretty good. The Grudge was decent when it came out, too. I remember being scared.
They all involve like creepy girls that like have like tar dumped all over them.
And then a little kid that sounds like a catfish.
So you watched some like old movies, right? Like
I
from the
watched.
60s, like this past week. Did you notice like all the la-las? La,
Oh, yeah.
la,
Uh-huh.
la. So
Which is funny because, like, that was Amityville
right.
horror.
And then that was also in Rosemary's Baby.
See, I didn't watch that one. But which one was first of those?
Rosemary's Baby
Was
was
it?
like 60-something. what
Because,
date.
like, those movies had to be on the edge of that trend. Like, I feel like it's carried through time. And then, like, back then is when it started. So I wonder what the first movie that was just like, we're going to have kids go. Nah. And it didn't really have any, in Amityville horror specifically, it was like, there weren't kids that you saw going, la, la. It was just like, the kids are kind of in there, but you don't really see them too often.
And there's no
Like,
kids in like Rosemary's Baby, but like I guess it's like about like, you know, an
the
upcoming
Devil's
child.
Baby. Upcoming child.
Like an upcoming child, but like, you
That'd
know,
be a good name for a horror movie.
upcoming
Child.
child.
It's a-
Instead of like there's a movie called The Unborn, but like it's like
Oh, I saw the Emperor.
the upcoming child,
Oh, yes.
the middle child.
We'll begin with a reign of terror. A few murders here and there. Murders of great men, murders of little men, just to show we make no distinction.
So me and Justin actually we wanted to watch together an old movie, an old one, because we had watched Amityville Horror, the new one with
Ryan
Chanley,
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds,
Reynolds.
so many times, and then we were like, let's watch the old one.
And it's worth seeing. And
boring.
it is very boring.
I thought it was super boring.
It could have lost about 25 minutes. I was thinking while I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if you could go through it and recut it and make it like a more competent movie. I bet you kind of could,
there's
but
some
also
things in
it'd
there.
still just be bad.
There's like things in there that like they're like this happened because of the haunting, and then they never go back to it. So it's like you could just like cut that out completely.
And also, they're just like, it's literally the gate to hell, and all the gate to hell can do is like, bring some flies.
And like tar you to like it just like put tar on the guy.
man.
I don't know. It just was like there was some cool shots and stuff in it, and like there was some cool like things in it, but like it just was. I was like I gotta finish it though.
Yeah, I watched it all the way through reluctantly. I don't know. Everything's just so disjointed. Like, they're like, there's this priest, and the other priests don't want him to think it's Satan for some reason. And then he
keep
gets
going.
struck blind, and that's just like a side story that never really goes anywhere.
Yeah, there was like the thing with like the money, so they lost the money, and then like there's like this wedding, and they're supposed to pay for the kid. He was like, the money's missing, and then they're like, we'll find it later. The guy at the house is like, we'll find it later on. I'll just write a check. And so like later on, he starts looking for the money again, and like I thought that like the demons were gonna like put it in like one of the kids' rooms or something.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like, oh, they're gonna put it in the.
It just never goes back.
Nothing.
To
It never goes back.
He
to
finds the billfold, like the roll, and he's just
he's
like, damn it! Oh my gosh!
But I wrote some things that I was, but I was writing. I looked it up a little bit, and like that dad, I was like, oh man, that guy looks like just a more handsome like George Lucas.
Yeah.
No, it's actually Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Josh Brolin's dad.
James Brolin.
Okay, yeah.
James Brolin. Yeah, Josh Brolin's dad.
And I was like, oh shoot, I was like, that guy does look like super familiar.
What's funny is the whole time I was watching it, I was like, that's Chris Christopherson. I don't know why. You know who Chris Christopherson is, right?
I'm like, I've seen him.
He's
like,
in
very few
Blade, played, and then he was like a singer-songwriter, like Western singer-songwriter. And the whole time I was watching, I was like, oh, hell yeah, Chris Christopherson. And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, damn it. It's James Brolin.
But it was just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of boring. But I like the one with Ryan Reynolds way more.
Yeah, and it's funny because that is like... Somebody watched that movie and they were like, all right, Amityville Horror, it's got some stuff that's good about it. Let's make it into like a more competent. Because they used a lot of the same stuff. I was kind of surprised, like him chopping the wood and like him going kind of crazy.
But isn't that like from the real thing though? Or like from the quote unquote real story?
I don't really know what the book all has.
The book is based off like a real story.
But it's not.
Right, yeah. It's not real.
The murders are real, but the haunting isn't real, apparently. But I don't know what all is exactly in the book, but like, I don't know. I just think they did a really good job being like, all right, here are all these elements, we're going to carry them through. And like the catch 'em, kill 'em thing in the new one, I was surprised that was in the old one because it seemed like a new detail.
And just overall, like, it was kind of funny. I thought that, like, there's a babysitter in both of them. Remember the babysitter?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember the one in the new one.
The one, she was like this hot babysitter, and, like, she was, like, seducing the, like, 13-year-old kid or whatever. She's like, and she's the one that told the kids about the murderers.
Oh.
And
I do kind of remember
and she got locked into the room because she used to babysit. She's like, it's weird. Like, I used to babysit for the Fayos or whatever. And then the little girl's like,
Sally doesn't like you. She said you're a bad babysitter.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
well, Sally's dead. It's like, no, she ain't. She's
I
gonna
like,
kill you.
yeah, the or the old babysitter with like the headgear and everything. She's like, let me out. Oh shit.
Or I thought that they were gonna put the money on her or something, or like blame her. See, there was just like things in the old one that were just like unresolved little things that you were like, oh, are they gonna bring that back around?
Like
Oh, they never did.
It's just so incoherent.
Just 2 hours of weirdness.
There's so much stuff in it that is kind of like staples of new horror movies. Now it's like the kid talking to the friend. There was a bunch of stuff that I was like, this is all stuff that people use now, but they just did it really poorly back then.
Mm-hmm. I was like writing down. Before that, there's some of the things that I thought were really funny. Was every time like somebody from the church visited the house, they would like have to pull over and throw up.
I thought that was really funny too. And then that one nun was just like, I don't know what it was, but I forgot. She was like, I got sick directly after I left, and then she was just like, ha 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 ha, I'm better now. But yeah, I don't understand what was going on, like how the demons had these powers that could travel across town to the like priests driving and stuff. Remember when they were driving? They just like the steering wheel locked up,
and then the hood came up, and it went, blah, 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 blah. Oh, dude, no, it was.
And then the whole scene in the church when the priest was like praying, and then that statue started to crumble. Yeah, I was just like, what's happening?
It got weird.
What's happening?
At that point, I think I was tuning out and looking at my phone a lot. I just kind of like.
I did not look at my phone.
Oh, I lost interest.
I endured through the whole thing. One of my favorite parts was probably when the kid fell down the stairs, just out of nowhere. He's just like, oh shit, and broke a light bulb. That was good. Oh no!
But it's like, I don't know if that was the first one. It's hard. There's so many horror movies because I was trying to look at like the best horror movies of like the decades, and so it's hard to say like a lot of like on the lists that was one of the top ones or whatever.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was one of the like.
But I guess like for the time, that's like one thing when you're watching an old movie like that, you have to be like, all right, what was it up against?
Well, also it was like it wasn't that long after the actual like incident.
Yeah, so it's scary. But it's very
because the movie came out in 1979, and the incident was like in like 74, 75.
I didn't look at the year for that, but what was I gonna say? I don't remember. Anyway, 79 that came out. The Shining came out in 1980,
and Alien came out in 79.
Did it?
Yeah. So
well,
it's like
Alien's obviously like the far superior, but wasn't it? It's kind of like runs parallel to The Shining. Doesn't it? Like, The Shining is like Jack or whatever there, and he's like stuck there and he's going mad. that dad's kind of like stuck at that house because he can't leave because he's like can't sell it or whatever, not necessarily, but he's going mad. And then it ends with a scene of him hacking into the bathroom like with an axe.
I noticed that too. Yeah, he was yeah. I
And
remember
then
that.
like in The Shining, Jack, isn't his name Jack
Yeah,
Nicholson?
I don't know.
He's
don't
gonna
know.
like kill his wife and
Makes
kill the
Jack
kid.
a dull boy, all work and no play.
Yeah.
Is that how it goes?
I think so. But he's like gonna kill his kid and wife, and then it's the same with what's his name, Lutz, George
Yeah,
Lutz.
George Lutz.
He's like gonna kill the kid, gonna kill the wife. He's got an axe. I just thought that was really funny, and it made me wonder when the book for Amityville Horror was written compared to when the book for The Shining was written.
Well, the Shining apparently has like nothing to do. Like the movie has like it's a lot different from the book.
It's not that different. I've listened to it.
Okay.
And there's like a lot more fantastical stuff in the book, but pretty much all that
I
stuff
thought that's like
happens.
Steven Spielberg was like really upset with Stanley Kubrick.
Steven Spielberg.
Or not Steven Spielberg, sorry, Stephen King. Wow, Stephen King.
He probably was,
Because
but
like he changed a bunch of stuff.
it's pretty similar. I listened to it like last year. I was going through like a whole Stephen King, like just listening through all his stuff. And the biggest differences that I noticed were like,
maybe they're copying off of each other.
I think they're copying. I think the dude, because apparently the guy who wrote the book for Amityville Horror just kind of made that up because it was like really hot at the time to like come out with all that sensationalist like demon stuff. And I bet he was just like, I'm gonna copy Stephen King's homework.
and then he hacks through the door
was
trying to
just
kill his
so
kids and his
close.
wife.
It might not be anything, but it's just so funny that it was like a year apart. The Shining is obviously like better, but it also has like really slow, you know.
Yeah, but it's like it's like really good to look at. It's just like well done.
Exactly,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
It's like well
instead
shot.
of just like shots
good
of like
cinematography.
close up of like faces and
It's-
stuff, like
It's like just a well done movie.
yeah.
It's like it's like 2001: Space Odyssey. It's like got really long shots, but they're just like really good to look at.
Yeah, they're
Like,
really-
it's like an entertaining movie. Amityville
And the
Horror
music
really
is
boring.
amazing. The music is amazing.
It's like it's also like The Shining is super suspenseful in that sense because it's like actual like that was something that I noticed about Amityville Horror was like they would try to do jump scares but they didn't know how to like do it.
Yeah, they were like, oh, there's a cat next to the window.
That's exactly what I was thinking about that part of the movie where it was like it's like oh they tried to jump scare there but they just don't know how to do it because
Yeah.
I watched The Conjuring and that movie is like entirely jump scares. And it's
But
a
it's
good movie.
good.
It's a good
I
movie.
think it's good.
It's just like I noticed like
Did you
lot
watch
of
a
it-
new one?
No.
Oh, okay. You watched the first one.
I watched the
I
first.
bet that's probably the best.
I think that's what I've heard. I had a buddy that saw the new one, and he said that a lot of people in the theater were not happy.
Yeah.
Can't you feel it? It's alive. Watching. Waiting.
But even like the Conjuring, the new one, they would like set it up. They would have the music, and
It's-
then like the tensions
Yeah,
there
exactly.
and everything. It's
Instead
not
of just he's like sitting there next to a like window, and he's like, "Oh, a cat!"
yeah.
The thing that sucked about also Amityville Horror was like they had so much stuff to work with as far as like material to scare with, and they didn't do anything. Like nothing happens. Like the one girl got locked in the thing, the priest gets swarmed with flies, and then like he sees that pig in the window one time.
yeah.
It's like
I didn't even know what that was.
that apparently was a really big part of the real haunting was like pig sounds and like crazy like crazy stuff
even
like
do
that.
it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. But they didn't use any of it. And then like they didn't I don't know. It's
well,
just
and that's
so-
what's cool about like the new one is like from the beginning, it's like the family isn't seeing things, but they show like the audience like weird things. It's like there's that part where that
Yeah,
little kid
yeah.
like has to go pee,
Yeah.
and then like there's just like this weird dude that's like slobbering blood behind
Yeah.
the kid, and the kid
that
doesn't
makes
see,
me
like,
want to
it's
watch
like,
that one.
I've seen that one like a lot, and
It's good.
it's a good one.
It is good.
It's a good movie. It's pretty spooky.
Ry
Ren.
He did a good job.
But yeah, no, that one, and so that one has some history with us because The first time we saw it, we had been talking about watching it for a long time. And then, do you remember what happened?
I do.
We got it from Walmart.
Oh, I don't remember the whole thing, but I remember the main part.
We got so scared we turned it off
But
halfway through.
weren't we watching it and Whelan, our dog at the time, burst through the door?
Something weird
That's
happened.
what happened. And we both jumped and screamed, and then we turned it off.
We turned it off, and then we fell asleep, and then I woke up at 3:15,
Oh.
and my nose was bleeding.
Oh, yeah.
And
I forgot about the nosebleed. I just remembered that we got scared watching it. I'm pretty sure that was that movie where Whelan...
It was that movie.
Whelan burst through the door, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh.
Probably if we got that scared about
I
that.
think so.
I just remember waking up at 3:15, which is like the demon
witching.
time
Oh,
in the
yeah.
movie.
It's Demon 30.
And I was like, "You Justin, like my nose is bleeding.
I
Like,
forgot
oh my
about
gosh,
that.
like I'm
So
gonna be
crazy.
possessed. Like, oh."
The true story is Jordan woke up at 3:12 and he was
Yeah,
like,
I
I'm
was
gonna make
like-
my nose bleed.
I was like, freak out, Justin. Oh, I was punching myself in the face a bunch.
That's fine.
But so we watched that one. We kind of like, I guess, watched different.
I
ones.
wish I would have watched the new one, but I just didn't have time.
I watched it. It was good. It's a good one. That's
You watched
that's like
the-
that's one of those. What would you say? House. What was your genre list?
I would put that
I would
in-
categorize that as
Ghosts and then haunted houses.
haunted houses.
Bing,
and
bing.
like so, and then I watched Rosemary's Baby, which that's like more of like that psychological.
Demons?
Well,
Is there demons? I've never seen it. I've wanted to watch it, and I just
that's
never
a
have.
good one. That one's. Really
I've heard it's really good.
That one's
It's a
like
classic.
it's like just like a super eerie. See, that one's
Yeah.
like not like there's no jump scares in it or anything. It's just like super eerie and like weird and like it involves. I don't want to ruin anything for you, but like it's just like
I
you
know
should
it
watch
involves the devil.
Yeah, it definitely does, and like it's just really good. So there's no jump scares or anything. It's just like this woman like figuring out that what's going on around her like a little bit at a time, and she's like, oh, this
I
is
need to
not
watch
cool.
it. It's funny because back then, do you know when that one was made?
That was like it was like late 60s or something like that,
Really?
mid to late 60s.
Because there was just like a block of time where it was just like demons, Satan, ghosts, devil house, blah blah blah. Because that was just so big and it was like in the zeitgeist back then. Because like The Exorcist was like 80s.
Right there.
Amityville Horror was late 70s, and then there was Rosemary's Baby, and then All the Omens, which like I've never seen the old ones, but I thought about watching them, and I didn't get a chance to. So, but I like the new Omen.
I saw
but
that in theater.
I don't want to railroad your Rosemary's Baby.
Oh no, that was it. It was just
no,
really
tell me
good.
more about it.
Well, I don't want to like ruin it.
I don't care.
You should just watch it.
Just don't.
I'm just saying that that's like one of those types of quote unquote scary movies where it's like
Kind of like
it's-
The Witch.
The Witch is like one of those where it's like
Because
it's
you-
psychological.
yeah.
It's like it's nothing's like gonna jump out at you and like make you jump. Really, it's just kind of like, oh, this is kind
It's
of
like, this is disturbing.
this is that's on my list actually.
I put it-
That's on
I
the
wrote
list
it
of the ones
down.
that I wrote.
I wrote it down. I haven't watched it in a while, but I really enjoyed it.
I've watched that. I've seen that one a ton.
So, I didn't put witch movies in the categories. I should have.
But that's like kind of like demon-y stuff, right?
Yeah, it definitely is because the Black Phillip's like the devil or whatever. I wrote down a list of like old movies that used to scare me. How you were talking about Chucky and stuff. And my earliest movies that scared me were there's a scene in Look Who's Talking. Do you know what that movie is?
That's the
I was
baby
like-
movie.
There was a scene where he was like in his bed and there were these little he was imagining these toys like demon toys watching him kind of, and that scared the crap out of me. Like I was really having fun like going back and remembering what like scared me when I was little, and I had a lot of them. Do you want to hear some other ones?
Yeah, go for it.
So
What feared you?
this one time I was really excited for a horror movie marathon on AMC, which
How
was
old-
going to be like
how old were you?
I was probably like 10 or 12. And which it was going to be like it was a list of like super old like 50s horror movies. And I was like, "All right, I'm going to watch one." I turned one on. It was called The Reptile, and I was like, this will be cool. I really like scary monster movies or whatever. And I turned it off within 5 minutes, and it was like an old black and white movie. I don't know why it scared me so much.
I got scared by Predator My
yeah.
dad let me watch Predator with him when I was a kid, and I was like, oh no, like I
That's a
won't be
good
able
one.
to see him if he comes in my room.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's gonna be like invisible.
Yeah, it's so weird, like what really sticks with you, scary wise. But I think some of those things kind of formed my brain to be like, oh, I kind of want some more of that.
Oh well,
Let me-
the other thing that was like weird because so like Chucky scared me, a doll. One of the other things that freaked me out was like the Goosebumps, the show.
Yeah.
It was like the only one that really ever freaked me out was the one with the dummy.
Oh, see, I never
See,
saw that one.
and that was like another one.
We've watched a couple episodes recently, and they're fun. Like the music. I like that show. I watched Are You Afraid of the Dark one time, and it scared the crap out of me. It was a ghost episode, and the kid was like sitting in the bathtub, and the light started swinging, and I was just like, "Turn it off! I am not watching. I'm so scared. This is ridiculous." Trying to think what else. We used to watch, or we rented this movie called V. You ever heard of it?
No.
It's like an old sci-fi, like about these kind of reptilian aliens that like live on Earth and stuff. And there's a scene in the end of it where like this lady gives birth to a baby, and you find out it's like a reptilian baby, and it just like its tongue comes out, and you see like scales on its forehead and stuff, and that like screwed me up when I was
Just
a
like
kid.
just changes your
Man,
perspective.
it is so crazy. But I feel like I was fairly easy to scare. when
Well,
I was
like
young.
when you're a child, yes, of course. I mean,
Well,
I didn't.
some kids aren't.
I think that was the main thing, though. I think the Chucky situation just really had me going for a long time. The dolls, the stuff. I wasn't like afraid of my toys, but that was like pretty much. And then other than that, I think I veered away. Now there's some like newer ones that I like a lot. Like I really liked Dawn of the Dead. The new
Yeah, I
one.
like the new one.
I like
There's
the new
there's a new one.
There's a new
By,
one.
I think it's by Zack Snyder, and it's Army of the Dead, and it's on
Oh,
Netflix.
I
haven't
wonder if
watched
it's
it.
any good.
Probably not.
Probably
as good as Dawn
not.
of the Dead. It looks like more extravagant.
Yeah.
but it could be fun.
I liked the old one from 2004.
oh,
no, not the old
not
one.
the old one.
No, I'm a freaking Dawn of the Dead hipster.
That's funny.
Actually, I've never even seen the old one, so I
I've
don't
seen
know.
it, and it's very slow, but it's kind of enjoyable. It's the same, I don't know, the same feel where it's just like they really drew things out. They were like, instead of showing just like a couple quick shots of somebody doing something, let's show the entire process. So it's like,
It's like before montages.
man, one of the movies I watched just now, it might have been an Amityville Horror. No, it was this Monkey Shines movie where the guy's like, all right, I'm going to get up and I'm going to go work out. But it shows him like do everything in preparation for it. He like runs with a bag of bricks on his back, and it shows him like get the bag, and he like sets it down and he's like putting the bricks in it. And then it cuts to him like running down the stairs and walking out to the street, then start running.
And it's just like there's was there music?
There
a
was
scene?
music, and
Was it
he's
like
just
a montage.
it is establishing something about him, but like it's just like you're watching it like,
as it happens.
yeah,
and, like the
this
whole
is so
process.
weird. Yeah, it's funny.
But let's see. I wrote down Oculus, Babadook, Dawn of the Dead, The Thing.
Babadook.
I liked those movies. I liked Oculus.
I liked
a lot.
that. I haven't seen Oculus. I remember you talking about.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark,
Oh,
dude.
that one is really.
I
good.
rewatched that for Halloween too, and I was like, gosh.
I wrote down a shit ton of ones that I like. The Thing is probably like one of my all-time favorite. Anything like The Thing. I just love The Thing. It's good. Sci-fi horror coming together. The Thing, Alien, bam, bam. You can keep going. Sorry.
No, that was it. That was pretty
Oh,
much it.
you want me
talked
to
about
read you my
Aliens.
list?
Yeah, go for it. Oh, Alien too. I put down Alien.
Alien's good. I wrote Color Out of Space because that's one that we saw recently, and that's
That's
a
a cool
really
one.
good H.P. Lovecraftian horror. Like, it's a good take on it. I really like that.
Nick Cage also.
Yeah, exactly. Nick Cage.
Great.
It was just like a good like
one's
mix of
awesome.
all kinds. It was so.
That's
great.
one of those ones too where it's like it's just eerie and like you're like, what is going on the whole time? It's just like you feel
And it's
uncomfortable and like
And it's not like using the same things that every other horror movie. It's not like demons. It's not like what. It's like cosmic horror, which that's like I kind of wrote down a thing which was like questions, and one of them was like, what would you like to see more in horror movies? And it's definitely like cosmic horror,
alien stuff?
like stuff like that, like crazy stuff. I like that movie a lot. I
that one's
wanna
really
see it
good.
again. I
That
haven't
one's
seen it in
really
a while.
cool.
Then I wrote down Hereditary.
Okay, yeah.
That's probably one of the movies that scared me the most
That one's a spooker.
recently, and I haven't watched it since.
I watched it multiple times. It's like whenever I see a movie I really like, I watch it like a couple
Man,
times
I
within
don't.
like a few weeks. and
I
did that.
couldn't sleep, so like I didn't watch it again. But I loved it. I think it's probably one of the best horror movies that's come out in a long time. Then Midsommar, which isn't like super horror, but it's like that
just-
super like weird. It makes you feel weird. You're like something's wrong.
But that's
and
like
that's the same director as Hereditary.
Right, and I think that's kind of like the thing. Like, those are just like the best ones to me. Like, they're not like scary. They're just like
Yeah.
they're just like okay.
You're just like, I don't feel good
I don't
about
feel
this.
good. This may. It's just like that gut feeling. Like instead of just like being
I'm trying to think of what other ones in that realm are good. But like,
But
we
that's
said,
like a
The Witch.
Rosemary's Baby, where
Yeah.
it's like something like that. What was?
I put down The Thing. That's like as my number one. Then Alien. The Shining. I love The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
It is very good, and it like we were talking about earlier. It's slow, but it's like
No, it's good.
it's like meticulously made right. Like
no.
it's fun. The Others.
Yeah.
That's one of my faves. That's one that, like, when I watched it originally, I was probably like 15, and I got so scared that I was like, I'm just gonna go to sleep. And then I finished it like a year later, I think.
You wrote down some ones that I forgot about that I
Man,
really
I
like.
wrote down a shit ton. I kind of thought about it a lot this week because I was just like, there's so many different like.
Well, keep going.
facets
Keep
of
going.
horror.
'Cause
I
the
put
village.
the-
You wrote down The Village.
I wrote down the 4 good M Night or 3 good M Night Shyamalan movies, but I wrote down The Ring because I really like that. I haven't seen it recently, so it hasn't ruined it. Recently, I watched a movie called The Ritual, which is on Netflix.
That's the one with the like crazy monster thing.
Yeah.
I watched that one
I like
too.
that
I
a
liked
lot.
that one too.
I like stuff. I don't know. I think I've always been drawn. Man, I don't know what's
That's
clicking.
me.
Drawn to like monster type movies because I just like them, and I really like that they just whipped out that like super trippy monster out of nowhere. Then I got the M Night Shyamalan like thumbs up list, which is Sixth Sense, Signs, The Village. Those I like those. Changed my mind.
I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
But The Village is funny. I like laugh out like audibly at that.
Silent Hill.
I haven't seen that. I have that on DVD and I
Man,
haven't seen it. I've only seen it once.
That is the reason I wrote down Spooky Towns as a
Well,
section.
what other spooky town movies are there?
There's one called The Wax.
House of Wax.
House of
Oh,
Wax.
dude.
That's like a spooky town.
I
type
watched.
thing.
What is it? The House or whatever. House of 1,000 Corpses.
Oh, I've never seen that.
That's like the Rob Zombie movie. It was just really weird.
And now he's gonna do the Monsters.
Is that like a movie or like they're gonna make the show?
I think it's a movie, but I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Silent Hill's really cool. I highly recommend it.
Born in the image of the greatest power in the world, the Desolate One. Desolate because his greatness was taken from him and he was cast down. But he has risen, Mark. In me.
Now, what about horror video games? Did you ever play the game?
No, I played the demo of Silent Hill 4, and it was all took place in like just one little apartment room, and it was really hard, and I never beat it. But I played other horror games.
I played the scariest ones that I played. I didn't really play that many though. Steven brought in his little VR machine and we played a horror like
That's
VR
fun.
game.
See, I've
and
not played VR. I would like to.
It was pretty good. It was pretty scary because like he had it on first, and I just thought it would be funny to scare him, and he actually got scared. I was like, oh my god!
I would get scared. I know
thought
I
he
would
was
get
overreacting, and then like I put him on, and he did the same thing to me, and I was like, oh no, this is real.
Yeah. Outlast is a really good horror series that's fun. It's like a first-person shooter where you don't shoot, but you're like going into this abandoned insane asylum and like this guy's chasing you and stuff. That was really good. What game did you guys play?
I just played. Oh, it was Paranormal Activity, the game.
Oh,
It was
that's
like,
crazy. I've wanted
That
to,
was a movie that I saw whenever I
Ooh.
came out, and
I'll-
like, I couldn't fall asleep.
man. I watched that one too, and it scared me. And for some reason, that night, our old roommate Dusty, his pizza cutter, he had this Simpsons pizza cutter that when you would cut pizza, it would quote, like it would do Homer quotes. And it just started going off in the middle of the night in the kitchen as I was already like, I'm scared, I'm scared. That's exactly what it did. And yeah, it scared me.
I don't know a lot of Homer quotes.
I don't either. I think he said like,
Don't!
Yeah, don't, and then like, pizza.
Justin, I'm
whatever.
gonna
Yeah,
kill you.
exactly. There's a new movie I saw recently called Psycho Goreman. You should
Alright.
watch it. It's not really a horror movie, but it's, I don't know, it's really wild.
Another thing I wrote down. So I was like writing down like common themes in horror movies, and I guess it's not like all because there's so many of them, but like it's kind of funny, like all these house horror like themes or whatever. It's like the
I
ring, like what?
I just like a good haunted house story. It's like a fun
But
premise.
they all have like the same thing. Like, but another one I watched recently was Sinister with
Yeah, I
Ethan
haven't
Hawke.
seen that one.
That's a good one too.
With who?
Ethan Hawke.
Really?
Yeah, he's in it. No, that's good.
I've heard it's good.
It is. But like all of these movies involve like kids drawing like weird things.
Yeah.
Kids drawing weird things. Houses with weird basements.
Yeah.
Pictures are like filmed, so like they'll be like taking video and like, look at how much fun we're having at the beginning, and then they'll review them, and then there'll be like something weird, like, oh my god, like,
Man.
what was that? What was that in the video that I
Is
took?
that in Sinister?
That's in Sinister, he finds like a bunch of like video.
Oh,
he
maybe
finds
I
like a
have
bunch
seen
of
that
stuff. He finds a bunch of film in like the attic, and he like watches it and like starts seeing things in it.
Like,
And that also happens in Amityville Horror with Ryan Reynolds whenever he's like they're filming at the beginning and then he's like watching it and like laughing in the basement and then he like starts seeing things.
yeah, that's crazy. It is really
And in The Ring, the little kids like drawing
Drawing
like
the
just like
things.
always like there's
any horror movie.
like-
There's a kid drawing. The Others, there's a kid drawing. I know there's other ones. Poltergeist, I feel like the kid's
Babadook was
drawing.
like the Poltergeist the kids drawing.
I think so. That's a good one.
What is that?
The
What is
original
it?
Poltergeist.
I didn't go too far, but like I was just kind of like thinking about like the same 5 movies, and I was like, okay, all of these things have like the same thing in it.
Oh yeah.
And like even in like The Ring, there's like the basement, like the well is in the basement where she comes from.
Yeah. And it's funny because like whoever makes the movie is just like, yep, we're gonna have a kid drawing again, and it's just funny that that's just something they're like, yeah, we have to do that. We have to do that in a
Like,
movie.
I mean, I guess like is that just like I mean, I get the like the symbolism there or whatever. You know what I
It
mean?
works
But,
to some
like, the
extent.
archetypal, like you know, like
yeah, everybody's always like, kids see things that adults
and the
can't
basements
see
are
because
just
of
like you know,
whatever." Yeah.
it's like
Basements are scary sometimes. Another thing that's kind of funny about horror movies is generally ghosts don't haunt ranch houses. It's mostly all two-story houses.
or there's like an attic situation
Yeah.
or a basement situation, ranch houses.
I feel like I've only ever seen one.
the ghost is in the sunroom. He's
Yeah,
always
exactly.
in the sunroom.
I've only seen one movie where it's like a haunted ranch house, and I think it was called The Messengers. And it kind of blew my theory because before that I was like, I've
But
never
that's not
seen.
that's not a haunted house movie though. That's just like murder movie.
No, The Messengers.
Isn't that the one where they're like the people are in their masks or whatever, and they're like,
No, that is.
oh, that's the other. That's something else.
What the heck is that one called? That one's really spooky, and
That's the one that everybody was scared of for so long. That one, like, whenever it came. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know
though?
exactly what you're talking about. I like that one, and it was really scary. It's not The Messengers. The Messengers is like a farm movie with scarecrows and stuff, and black birds flying around.
There should be a farm movie.
The
Oh, you know
Visit-
what you left out of your list of M. Night Shyamalan movies? Signs.
No, it's on there. I said.
Oh,
it.
you said Signs?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I love Signs.
That's why I was like, oh, did Justin leave out Signs?
Another archetype type thing is Indian burial grounds.
Dude,
is
Pet
like-
Cemetery.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Pet Cemetery, Poltergeist, and then there's this movie called Identity, which
I never saw that one.
it's fun, and the Indian burial ground isn't really what's happening, but they mention it and they make you think that for a long time. Where you're just like, it must be the Indian burial ground, and then it's like It's like a red hair.
They just like make it up.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
not the
that
movie
movie's
order.
like got a really strange ending that you're just like, oh shit, okay.
All right then.
It kind of throws everything out, but it's good. I wrote down Salem's Lot. Have you ever seen that?
No.
That's a Stephen King movie that is like Stephen King doing Dracula, basically. It's really good, but it's like an old, kind of outdated movie.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Exactly, but
Let's go with those questions.
ooh, I think there's like 4. And I wrote my answers, but I want to know your answer.
Oh, what are these? Do you have questions?
Yeah, you want to know?
Yeah.
Are we going?
Yeah, we're going.
So the first question, this is something I always think about because like it's just like kind of fun to be like, what directors would you like to see dabble in horror that don't usually dabble in
man.
horror? Like,
I'd have to like, oh man.
so like my list is Wes Anderson. Like, imagine if Wes Anderson made a horror movie.
It would be like kind of goofy, probably.
It wouldn't be goofy, like probably goofy, but like it'd be so stylized and
It
cool.
would just be like his style.
Man, I always think about that when I watch his movies. Like, it'd just be so cool for him to do something a little out of his norm. Because, like,
Maybe
seeing like if it was a haunted house movie, then it'd like pull out and see the cross section of the haunted house, and you could see weird things happening in the different rooms.
Why don't you? What would if you were gonna make a Wes Anderson like esque horror movie? What would it be about? Obviously, a haunted house.
I think a haunted house, and there'd be a really quirky family. You know, like I think.
So I guess like Royal Tenenbaums meets Amityville Horror.
Exactly. That would be exactly it. I think that'd be so cool.
Where the brother is trying to bang the adopted sister, and then except it's like she's possessed, and then like.
But not to the point where it's like horrible or like overdone. But I just think seeing like a horror movie through his eyes would be cool. Also, who do you think?
I don't know. Like my knowledge of directors is like really just kind of like fallen off because it's been so long since I've like kept up with them.
I've got 2 more.
That's just hard to gauge.
Got 2 more. Quentin Tarantino, because I think like seeing him direct a horror movie with like all his like really like meticulous dialogue scenes, and I don't even know what
He kind
it
of
would
did,
be.
didn't he? No, that's Death Race. That movie's.
Yeah, it wasn't like horror-y. I don't even know what it would be, but like for him, I just think it could be really cool because he does stuff. He does kind of like the style of some old movies, but like updated or whatever. I don't know. And then I put Jared Hess. He did, you know, like Gentlemen Broncos and Nacho
But
Libre.
he's kind of got like that Wes Anderson kind of like style.
That's
to him
kind of what I
already.
thought too. But it's just I think seeing people that don't normally do horror would be interesting. And then I put, what is a horror movie you would like to see be remade? Because I do think remakes do help sometimes.
I was thinking it's like I hate the remake scene. I hate it. It like ruins it.
I
A
don't.
lot. I do.
I'm always okay with seeing them, like the
I hate
Amityville
it.
Horror. It's
Yeah,
like
but it's
that
like-
remake's good.
It's like the Chucky one though. It's just like, gosh dang it.
Yeah.
It's like the Amityville Horror one is like 1 in freaking 100. It's like 1 in 100. It really is. It's like it's actually a good.
No,
good
Blade
movie.
Runner 2049.
Yeah, but that's not a remake though. It's
It
just
is
kind of like
basically a remake.
I mean, I thought it was just like a continuation. Like
It is, but it's basically a remake. But I'm always open to it, even if it's gonna be bad. It doesn't take away from the old one. I wrote down like Alien, because just seeing that contemporary would be good, and I thought that's what Alien. What was the most recent one?
the one with Danny
Covenant?
Danny Bride. I don't know.
Alien Covenant. I thought it was going to be kind of like a new take on the old Alien, and it was horrible, and I still kind of want to see it just done.
Well, I was thinking like whenever I was watching Rosemary's Baby, I was like thinking like, how would that look if it was done today?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, what would they do with it differently? But I just hate remakes.
Yeah,
just hate
I
watching
don't.
them.
I kind of hate the idea of it, like because it's
if they change like huge, it's like with Chucky when they were like, no, he's like an Amazon doll. It has nothing to do with like the demon stuff or
But that's
whatever,
just
the
that
witchcraft.
one. I think I don't like the aspect of remakes that is like all because it's like this is a known property that if we make a new one, we know people will see it. I like the artistic aspect of a remake where it's like we're seeing
If it looks good. See, that's why I like. Well, even though I didn't see the old Dawn of the Dead, when I watch like the newer one, it's just like, oh, it just looks good to me.
That's a
it's just
remake.
well done.
Yeah, it's a
just like
remake,
well
Jordan.
done. Like it's.
I put Gremlins because I know there is a remake, and it's not a remake, it's just like a new take on it. I'm kind of excited to see that. It's probably going to be bad because Gremlins is awesome. Like, the 2 Gremlins movies are amazing. They don't need to be remade, but I like the idea of seeing the new Gremlins. Like, just, it's exciting. And then I put The Shining because it would be cool to see how the book was. Because there was
I don't know.
There was a lot more supernatural stuff. Like, there's, like... Some of the hedges were like alive, and there were creatures and stuff like that. So
the Stanley Kubrick Shining is like a relic in like filmmaking. I don't think
I know, but they have made a TV version of it. The thing is, making a remake doesn't mean there's something wrong with the original. It's just like seeing it through a different lens. And if they would make a Shining remake, it would be like this is more like the book. Am I sounding okay?
Yeah, your levels are good. I'm checking your levels. I'm looking at them.
I think I had another one in mind, but I don't remember what it is.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm trying to think too. I'm not like really too keen. It's like
It's just a thought exercise, Jordan. You don't have to.
Let's see here.
Be too serious about it.
Well, I just don't know. Well, it's like also I was thinking when I was watching, it was like it's the. Because whenever we're talking about how crappy Amityville Horror was, it's just because like that movie just kind of like sucked. Mm-hmm. It's like Rosemary's Baby was made like 10 years.
Sucked
well,
then.
Rosemary's Baby was made like 10 years earlier, at least before that, and like it's still like it didn't suck. It wasn't like boring. It wasn't like there weren't like moments of just like boredom or like, oh, this is dumb, or like that was dumb, or like, you know, nothing like corny or cheesy.
Amityville Horror, you're just like,
it's like, oh man, there was like, it wasn't
she
like
looks old now.
Yeah, there weren't like scenes that were just like completely unnecessary or anything. It's just like a really well tight, like put together movie, and it's like also, so it doesn't really have anything to do with time or like that. It's just like it was like, oh, this movie was like made in the '60s. It's just like a really like that. Whoever made that like really knew what they were doing.
Yeah, there's a handful of directors back then that were like really like pushing the art forward. Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho.
See,
I
haven't
like,
seen any of that.
You haven't seen Psycho? It's incredible. It's a really good movie. It really like changed horror and like how people thought about horror back then. And then I know The Exorcist was that way, but I've never seen The Exorcist because
I started watching
it.
I
think it scared me. I think it scared me.
You think it would still?
Yeah.
I started watching it and I was like, it was the other night, and then I had to go to bed because I had to be up early the next day, and I was like, I don't want to be up for.
I can't watch.
I would
horror
like to
movies
watch
and
it.
then just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep.
I just watched like the first 10 minutes. It was super cool, and I was like, oh,
It is good. That's one that's funny.
I'd seen it before though, so it's like, but it's been just like for a long, like forever.
Mm-hmm.
Forever
A
ago.
funny thing about that is, and it kind of goes along with my director's question, is the dude who directed that didn't direct horror movies. That's just one of them. He directed The French Connection and Killer Joe or whatever that new Matthew McConaughey is. Like
yeah,
that stuff.
I like
he
that
directed
movie.
that. I'd never seen it. He directed that stuff. So like The Exorcist was an outlier for him, and it's like one of the most iconic horror movies. So that's another thing that makes me think like, what other directors that don't do horror could do their own take on horror and be really cool. Another funny thing is that The Thing, the screenplay, was written by the same guy who wrote the screenplay for Bad News Bears and Bad News Bears 2, and that's all he did. The Thing, Bad News Bears, Bad News Bears 2.
There you go. He's getting them royalty checks,
It's
dude.
crazy. It's
He's
so
got to be
funny.
getting those royalty
But
checks.
He did a great job. The Thing was based off a short, like novella or whatever. So he's not like credited with creating it, but
I do agree with you. There needs to be more space horrors,
Yeah.
more UFO horrors.
that was my next question. Things you want to see more of in horror.
I think that like Color Out of Space was really cool. I saw that in theater actually, and then like I've watched it a couple of times since then, and it's like I do like that. Alien is like super cool because it's not like your typical alien movie. It's so good.
I love Alien.
And to think about that being made the same year as Amityville Horror is just like blows it out of the water. Oh man,
it is insane
because it's like actually like I feel like science fiction isn't always like the best genre. Like it's like, like, you know what I mean. But like that movie is just like actually super freaking good.
It's funny when you go back to movies or to that era where you're like, Alien came out, Amityville Horror came out. They're completely different, like in how they were made, approach, and like the style of them. And that happened with a lot of movies because I think like Flash Gordon or something I watched pretty recently. Not Flash Gordon. What the heck was it? I watched a movie that came out the same year as Star Wars, and it was another sci-fi movie, and I can't remember the name of it. It's one of the famous ones, but it's just like insane how horrible it is compared to Star Wars.
Well, it's like 2001: Space Odyssey from the 60s.
Yeah.
And it's like incredible.
It is
and
amazing.
it's like so, and it's like just looks good. It's not like fake or anything. Like everything looks super good.
And it was just like, that's just like the an artist making something compared to just like whoever or whatever person was like, I'm gonna direct this weird movie, where Stanley Kubrick was like, I'm making things and I'm like serious about it. I just listened to a book called Me and Stanley Kubrick, or Stanley Kubrick and I, and it was about Stanley Kubrick's driver. That was his driver for his entire career, and he was a big part of Stanley Kubrick's life. He just like helped him out with everything. And it was a really, really good book, and it talked about some of the process of like the movies he made and how much time he spent on it and like how meticulous he was. It was really good.
So I'm trying to find like the 1970s, like movies made in the or horror movies made in the 1970s. But it's not. It wasn't. I thought I'd be able to pull up faster, but my Googling skills are not as good as I thought they were.
Oh man.
But yeah, well, the first one that comes up on IMDb's list, the first one that comes up is Alien.
Yeah.
Phantasm, zombie flesh
Oh,
eaters.
I almost watched Phantasm. I pulled it up because I've never seen
the
that.
Vampire, The Brood.
Nosferatu's older than that.
Amityville Horror, Beyond the Darkness. Yeah, it's like I don't know like any of these. When Strangers Call, I've heard of that one. But they're all Dracula. Let's see, these are all like I don't know, Human Experiments.
You are about to enter hell, Bartolome. Hell! The netherworld, the infernal regions, the abode of the damned, the place of torment, pandemonium, Abaddon, Tophet, Gehenna, Naraka, the pit.
The Human Centipede.
Oh, dude. Oh my god. We didn't talk about that one.
Didn't we watch that together?
We watched that together. I got you a Human Centipede shirt you never wear. Thanks, dude.
Why would I wear it?
Never buying you a shirt again. I bought that knowing you wouldn't wear it.
It's it was the like graph or the like drawing of the three people in a row.
What a weird movie.
And it's weird because like somebody was like, this is a good idea I have and I'm gonna make it into a movie, and then there was like three of them. Wasn't there three?
There's three of them, and the second one is where there's like a huge train of people.
Yeah, it's like 45 people.
And then the third, I don't know. I don't even know what the third one's about.
I don't either.
I didn't care. I don't care anymore. The first one was, I don't know why.
It's
shit. I'm about the shit. I'm about the shit.
Oh man. It's funny because like I think I could safely say I hate the Human Centipede, but I enjoyed watching. Like it's fun to watch stuff like that because you're just like, this is too much.
This is like somebody like people. Think about the people that like the actors that get paid to like be in that position to like do that.
But they're in an infamous movie, so I guess it's worth something.
Hey Sarah, I saw you.
I was the third person in the centipede. Yeah, did you see me?
Remember when he shit in my mouth?
Yeah,
remember
but it
that?
wasn't even regular shit. I got the double shit.
So we actually just used chocolate pudding.
Oh,
like imagine
man,
that.
Exactly.
We just used chocolate
and
pudding.
And then like they had to do prosthetics of our faces getting infected. Oh man,
it was
just such a
crazy.
And I haven't worked since, to be honest. So
imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Your
one and only.
And my question about things you'd like to see more of in horror, I really want to see like period movies, like westerns. Like I'd love to see
Ooh,
a competent,
like a colonial,
colonial or medieval, or like something that would be a mashup between horror and then like fantasy. I would think would be really cool. There probably is maybe stuff like that, but I'm not aware of it. And then like
yeah, I never like thought of that.
Because I think I don't know, horror movies that take place now almost lose my interest immediately because I'm just like, oh, cell phones, blah blah.
Well, and they're all just the same freaking thing. Like it's like all like it's mostly the same stuff. That's why Hereditary is so cool, and like Midsommar is so cool. Like those like The Witch is so cool. But like these there are good ones that come out, but like the majority of them are just rip-offs of other things, and like it's just like a pyramid. It's like a pyramid scheme of just like, all right, well that has worked in the past.
Yeah.
We'll just do that again.
And then the second you throw in like new technology, it's just like it becomes
now
so
my
corny.
iPhone watch is haunted.
Exactly, it's so corny.
It's telling me the wrong time.
One thing that was fun recently was It Follows.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Because that took place in a timeline that wasn't, it was like the 80s, but they had some current stuff, and I really like that because it wasn't like just modern times. It was like a really weird,
like an obscure, there wasn't like a
alternate timeline or whatever it would be, but I enjoyed that.
It's just
one.
Obscure. They just didn't like make it super clear like when it was. It's just like that's all you gotta
They had 80s cars, but then they had cell phones. But they didn't look like cell phones. They looked like little clams. They did.
That's just art direction there.
Yeah,
right
exactly.
There. That's design.
I like that movie a lot.
I did too. I like that one a lot too. It's just kind of like just don't make the same shit over and over again, you know? I mean, The Conjuring, it's like that one's good. At first I was like, okay, I'd seen it before and I remember liking it. And the first like 45 minutes, it's just kind of like I was kind of like, all right, like, am I gonna like? Is this one of those where I liked it a long time ago and I'm gonna rewatch it now? And it was good, but it's just like jump scare.
I know, like I haven't seen that one for a while.
Door slam.
I watched it during the day, so I don't think it had like as good of a scare effect on me. But I thought it was good. I don't know. I know there's other ones I'm not thinking of. There's like
I just don't. But okay, so if you were going to. Okay, with all these things that you're saying, like, I would like to see this person make this, and I would like to see this. I'm a Hollywood. Hello, Justin. I'm a Hollywood producer. I'm gonna produce your Hollywood movie.
No, he talks like a troll.
I'm gonna produce your movie.
Yeah.
Pitch to me.
It's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy. All right.
It's a haunted house movie.
Okay.
It takes place in like the 1700s. There's a witch. This
just
town,
like my first wife. Okay.
Exactly. This town like finds out about this witch. She's been like sacrificing kids or whatever. I haven't like fleshed out the whole story, but this is basically it. They do like a witch hunt. They go to her house. They're gonna kill her. She turns herself into an acorn.
Oh.
And then they burn down her house, and a tree grows from the burnt down house. This like gnarly, big ass, horrible looking tree. This is just like the prologue. Then settlers come, they cut down the tree, they build a house out of the tree. So like the tree is the witch, or the house is the witch.
She's haunting the house through the woods.
Exactly. So like that's the first movie. Then the second movie takes place like 150 years later. And it's like
does anything happen in the first one? Like, is there actual hauntings?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what would happen, so I can't like get.
But
into
that's just like an overview.
Yeah, that's like an overview of the first movie. What was that?
I don't know. I think it was.
And then the second movie would be in the same house 150 years later, and it's like the 80s or whatever it would be, and it's just like kind of a similar haunted house movie, but it's got like stuff that like the kids, I have like this idea of the kids looking out of the windows, but they're seeing what was out there in the 1700s or whatever, you know, like I don't know. And then the third movie is 150 years in the future, and the prologue for that one is a nuke goes off in the city.
Whoa.
but that house is still standing because it's like super haunted.
Oh.
And then the future people build a compound around the house to study it, and then that stuff's happening.
Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
where like the alien stuff, or maybe the
It's
aliens.
not alien.
Oh.
It wouldn't be because it'd still be the witch.
But there could be some sci-fi elements to
Oh, there
it.
definitely would be because there's a compound built
Look,
around
I'm
it.
thinking Jennifer Lawrence for the witch
Yeah.
in the first one. And I think that there's a love interest. Let's get the guy that played the spooky vampire, the hot, cute teenage vampire.
He could probably do okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's
Robert.
get him. Let's get him. We'll give you $50 million for the first one, okay? All right, let's see how you do.
All right. I think I could make it.
Quentin
$50 million.
Tarantino, we'll get him on that one.
No, I'm on it.
Oh, you're on it? Okay, we'll put you on it, okay. All right, done deal.
I think that's a pretty
All
fun
right,
idea.
there you go. All right.
Isn't it?
Movie producer that sounds like DJ would do it.
DJ.
Don John.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I wasn't going to talk about that.
Well, no, there you go. You
But
did. Because
I
I was
did.
thinking, it's like, what would you do? I don't even know what I would do. I have no idea what I would do.
I always like the idea of a haunted house.
But a
'cause it
haunted
is like
house built out of
a witch.
demon. A witch demon.
Dead witch, yeah. I've had that
And that's-
idea for a really long time. The like
She curses. She like turns herself into an acorn.
Mhm. It's kind of weird, but it's like, it would be fun.
It's kind of cool.
And then
I like it.
I just recently had the idea that about the compound built around a haunted house. I thought that was a really cool idea, and I was like, I could mix those ideas together. So nobody steal these ideas. They're all copyrighted.
They're copywritten and trademarked by the Justin Riley LLC. Patent ideas.
Patent number 2424666444669.
1985 64925.
So, what would yours be? Tell me.
I don't know, dude. I didn't
just
think about
spitballing,
it. Shit,
spitballing.
dude. Oh my gosh. See, I was thinking of just going with the basics like I was earlier. A little kid draws scary shit,
Yeah.
and I'm just joking.
You could do like a refined version that would be your version of that. That probably could be really cool. Because, like, it still
Something neat.
works. Yeah, like,
I
all
just
that
don't
stuff
know. I don't
works.
like, my brain doesn't go to like haunting. If I did something, like if I wanted to make something spooky, I wouldn't make it like spooky. I'd make it like that eerie kind of like, just kind of like unsettling thing.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that's kind of like how like Locomotives is kind of like, it's kind of like some like weird unsettling thing. Sometimes it's like, this guy's just weird. It makes me feel weird. And so I think that's kind
I
of
like that stuff.
like it's just kind of, that's where like my
No.
brain would go.
Here's a
Oh,
weird one.
Okay.
So, you know who David Cronenberg is?
No.
He directed The Fly, which is really good, and Scanners, which is a movie I just watched, which is like really crazy. It's about like these psychics, like psychic, is that the right term?
Like a psychic, like
They
person.
have telekinesis.
Yeah, I guess like psychic. I think is
And
is
like it's super crazy. Well, his son Brandon Cronenberg is making movies now. He made this one called Possessor, and it is so freaking trippy and weird. It's like takes place in the future, and these people can use this device to possess people, and they're assassins. I think if I remember correctly, it's been a bit since I watched it, but like they're assassins. So he's like, I'm gonna go possess somebody, then I'm gonna use that person I possess to kill somebody, or whatever. Man, it's freaking crazy.
I thought Parasite, the
Ooh,
Korean
I like
movie,
Parasite.
like that Korean movie was freaking dope.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And that kind of like, for some reason that reminded me of that. I don't know why, but
That Parasite, this is like kind of a non sequitur or whatever, but I read that Junji Ito book last night, and then I dreamed last night, and it was in the Parasite house.
Oh.
But it was with elements of like Junji Ito story in it.
Junji
And I
Ito.
woke up in the middle of the night and I was just like, oh shit. But that one is kind of,
I think I would want to make something kind of weird like that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like,
oh man,
it's
you
just
should watch
something-
Possessor. It's like, it makes you feel weird the whole time, where you're just like, it's super gory though too,
It's like,
which is fine, but like, it's pretty brutal. Good stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, that
Jordan.
was some spooky horror movie talk there, Jay.
Then I wrote down Casper.
Casper scared you?
It didn't scare me, but it was like a fun, scary
I didn't watch
movie.
like Hocus Pocus or anything like
I've
that.
watched Focus
People
Pocus
like
for
that.
the first
and
time. It's not scary.
I didn't like. I remember watching like Scooby Doo, but I didn't like really watch a whole lot of other stuff.
Another thing that really scared me when I was super young was we were watching Walker Texas Ranger, and there's an
You thought he almost died in one
no,
episode.
there's an
and it terrified
episode.
you?
There's an episode where there's UFOs.
I'm about to watch that episode.
And I don't remember any of the details other than at one point there was like maybe a UFO crash or whatever, and he runs up and he like tastes the ground. He's like, oh, it's oil or whatever.
Sulfuric aluminum
And
sulfite.
then I was really small and I was like, hey mom, dad, is there aliens or anything? And they were like, I guess there could be or whatever. They just had a throwaway answer. And because they said that, I literally like laid up at night just like, there could be aliens.
They're coming in
Oh,
your room.
man.
Oh, do you remember seeing the fourth kind?
Yeah.
They took me in
I like that. I did like it. I think.
We laughed out loud.
We
at
did,
it
but
'cause it
I
was
think
so
if I
bad.
watched it again, I think I'd have fun with it. Have you ever watched The Children of the Corn?
Yes.
That's a
Another
fun
awesome
one.
movie.
Have you ever watched Village of the Damned?
No.
I never have, but that's one I remember seeing like commercials for when I was a kid, because that's like the white-haired kids with like weird color eyes.
I don't know.
And
I
I
haven't
don't
seen
know
it.
anything about the story, but I remember just being like, that's like the scariest thing I've ever seen. Another one we haven't talked about is The Blair Witch. I like Blair Witch.
That was like one of those cult classic ones.
Yeah. Is it good? It was like one of the first. It wasn't the first found footage movie, but it really like put that stake in the ground
Just
where
kind of
everyone was like, "Oh
was,
shit!"
It was like they procrastinated their college video project so
it's
long.
good,
Like, let's
though.
just like do this. My uncle's got like this like a cabin
Yeah,
on his
man.
property. Let's just put some scary shit around it and like let's do that.
The remake of that, it's not really a remake. It kind of is, but it basically is like it was aliens. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh,
But that's like the ruined remakes.
Oh yeah. And Rosemary's Baby, was it aliens?
No, it wasn't.
They're like, who was aliens?
Well, no, it's because
No,
what I was thinking.
I
No,
know,
it wasn't.
I'm kidding.
If they did that in the remake of Rosemary's Baby, they were just like, it wasn't the devil that
Quentin
impregnated
Tarantino remakes Rosemary's Baby,
And it's
and he's like,
aliens.
it's aliens.
that
bitch."
are
John
immune-
Travolta played
water. They don't like water.
Poor M. Night Shyamalan.
I don't know, dude.
Secret Window. How do you feel about that?
Long time ago, dude. Like I was like a kid when
I
saw that.
I watched that in a friend's house, and I dreamed that night that there were like these two creepy girls screaming at me, and I woke up like
And
shaking.
it was really
No,
happening?
it wasn't happening, but I woke up shaking. It was really creepy. And I don't know, Jaws.
I don't think that's like really scary to me.
It scared a lot of people in the 70s.
I don't know. I think that's what I guess that's one of your creature features.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go back down the list.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I just like looking at it. Yeah, creature feature. Checks out.
Well, I think on that note, we'll close her out.
And I know there's stuff we didn't
There's
talk about.
dude.
That,
Well,
right,
it's like
right.
there's just so much with like horror movies.
There really
it's
is.
like,
It's insane.
and I'm not even like super well versed in them. I just know the ones that I've watched over time, and like there's just so many, and there's like people that are into them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I think we like watch our fair share of movies, but it's like there are people that only watch those
That's
horror
true.
movies.
What's funny, and we can end or whatever, but I don't feel like I've seen a lot of the ones that everybody's like, this is the horror movie. Because, like, I've not seen, like, Hellraiser. And
Oh, yeah, that's a good
I was,
one.
like, trying to think of... I've not seen Rosemary's Baby. I've not seen The Exorcist. But I don't know.
But it's one of those things. Like I haven't seen like a lot of like Alfred Hitchcock movies. I didn't watch Goodfellas or not Goodfellas. I hadn't seen like Godfather until I was like 25 or something.
But I don't know. I really like...
So I mean,
horror
it's
as
hard
a
to like
genre.
cover all the bases unless like you're just gonna study horror movies all your life.
It's fun, though. It was fun to think about.
It was a fun little thing to dive
What
down.
else? Did you watch more?
I tried to just watch like I kind of tried to bounce around. I started watching Exorcist like I said, and then I just kind of like stopped just because I didn't want to like fall asleep to it, and then I was gonna try and watch it before today. Rosemary's Baby, the Amityville ones, the Saw one. I mean, I watched Child's Play like this last time. I watched a lot this last Halloween, and I kind of was like, I didn't want to rewatch them. I just watched them like a while ago. Like Children of the Corn, I watched. Like
I watched
recently.
that not too long ago.
But like, I just kind of like, I don't know, dude. There's just so many.
Yeah, I watched Amityville Horror, Scanners, and then Monkey Shines, which as Monkey Shines isn't worth watching, but Scanners was cool. But it wasn't really horror. By the time I got through it, I was like, it wasn't really horror.
So, and there's those classifications. You can say, oh, that's like scary, that's spooky. Maybe Justin, maybe your $50 million check will come through the mail, and then you'll get to produce your movie.
My movie
with Jennifer Lawrence. And, Robert Pattinson.
Works for me. Works for me.
Thanks for recording, dude.
Yeah, it was good. Hopefully, it'll be good.
Oh, take her easy there, Pilgrim.
Boy, I got vision and the rest of the world wears bifocals.
Well, son, since you haven't learned to respect your elders, it's time you learn to respect your betters.
It is, I think, going to be a very harsh and unpleasant kind of business, and will, I think, require an extremely harsh and unpleasant kind of man to see to it.
I'm your huckleberry.